share. Okay, so that's all ready to go. Okay, so basically, for those of you that know or don't know, Adobe announced 2 new products only within the last, I think the first one was the 1st of August and the other one was the 15th of August. So they're relatively new. Anyone heard of these 2 products? And they got code names. Okay, the first one that they released was codename Edge. Okay, who's downloaded and played with Edge? Okay, or who knows what Edge is? Who's seen what Edge is? Okay, what Edge is basically is it's a tool that's very, very similar. It's an animation tool, very, very similar to how After Effects is for video, but this is for creating animation to the web. An alternative to Flash, you may say, and it builds things in HTML, CSS3, HTML5, CSS3, and JavaScript. So for devices that don't render Flash, like for example the iPhone, iPad, you can actually create animations like that with no code whatsoever. You click a button and it's done. It's still in preview, which means that it's still a little bit buggy, but the good thing is you can use it for free and commercially as well. So if you actually want to make it as a service, it's free for the next 99 days as of counting from today on. After that, it will be a paid-for service or a paid-for application. So that's one. I'll show you what these are in a bit. And the other one is called Adobe Muse. Again, who's familiar with Muse or seen it? Okay. Okay. And if you've downloaded it, it's very, very easy to use. The majority of what I'm going to be showing you today here is with Muse. But the idea is with Muse is know how to build a website with no code. Okay, which they've tried for many, many years, endlessly with Dreamweaver. But no matter how much you try, you always have to revert to code unless your website looks rubbish. So it's one of those tools that if you don't know code, it's very, very, you can do something, but it's not that great. But with Muse, what you can do is amazing. And you may get the coders in the room that go, oh, no, the code it produces is rubbish. It doesn't really matter. It's a website, and if you're a designer, great. I can actually build a website without needing to learn code. Okay, but if you do know the code, obviously, you can do it through the code. Okay. So I'm going to. So who here uses InDesign? Okay, so most of you are designers. Good. Okay, so if you use InDesign and you have used InDesign, you know how to use Muse. It is that easy. Honestly, it is so easy. So I'll run you through a process of building a 5-page website using Muse. Before that, for those of you that missed my last session, I'll just give you the URL for my last video whilst you're here. So there's this one. Okay, that's the slideshow presentation that I did for my last video for mobile web applications. The URL is there, bit.ly/ny and then in capitals WFF lowercase z. And the video for my last, the session this morning, which is already uploaded, that's this one here. It's chopped off the last bits, but it's bit.ly/Designers Fiesta 2 CSS3. Okay. And as I said, as soon as I finish, I'll upload the 2 videos that I'm recording. Okay, so basically, let's have a look at, first of all, Edge. So if I go to Adobe Edge and just take you to the Edge preview website. Okay, it's on the Adobe Labs website. Again, as I said, it's downloadable and installable. Works both on a Mac and a PC, so you can download and use it straight away. Only what date is it today? It's 23rd. So you're looking about 2-3 weeks ago. Yeah, literally 2 weeks ago they released Preview 2, which they've added some enhancements to it. What I'm using here is Preview 2, which I'll show you, and you can create some amazing animations with it. So please do follow. Download it and play with it. Even if you have no idea what it does, have a go. Honestly, it's very, very easy to use, especially if you've used After Effects. Who's here used After Effects? Okay, so if you have used it, you'll find that it is great. Okay, so I've got it installed here, and I'll just load it up. So Edge. Okay, so as you can see here, it gives me a message. Pre-release period will expire in 99 days. And there you go, there's the interface. So it's not so much like Flash, it's more so like After Effects. The reason they decided to go down that route is Flash was an inherited UI, user interface from Macromedia. This is from the ground up an Adobe product, so they decided to go down the interface design of After Effects. I'm going to see if I can turn down the light. Right, so that's the interface there. I'm going to open up a finished made example of that was created. So if I choose open, and on the desktop, again, if you go to the Edge website, they've got all these files ready for you to use and download, or if you download them from the link that I gave you earlier on this morning. If I go to Adobe Edge, here's an example, and if I open up .edge and choose open, okay, and if I preview that and I press play, as you can see, you've got the wheel spinning, you've got that sliding around, and it loops. Again, if I have a look, I'll just sit down. Basically, what I'm using as well, I've got it plugged in. Yeah, what I'll be using is one of these. Who knows what one of these are? Yeah, it's a Wacom tablet. It's a replacement for a mouse. It's great for design. So as I'm using most cases here, called again? I forgot its name. Muse. Okay, code name Muse. Yeah. Okay, as I'm going to be using Muse, which is a design tool, so I find it a lot easier by using a tablet. Okay, again, if you're using Photoshop or InDesign, it's great for that as well. Okay, so yeah, here's the tool. So again, if I want to preview this, and again, you will notice that this is not Flash. So if I go in here and then look at Adobe Edge, and if I open up Edge Wheel, these are all images. There's the JavaScript, there's the CSS, and there's the HTML. Okay, so if I open that up in Dreamweaver, for example, and come back here and open this up in a browser, you notice this is an animation playing fully with no flash. There is no flash in it at all. So again, this will work in the iPhone and iPad and any other future devices that will come out that don't support flash. Windows over the weekend, Microsoft just announced Windows. Well, they've announced Windows 8 a while back, but they released a press release over the weekend saying that Windows 8 natively will not support Flash, and you can't install Flash even if you wanted to, which is Internet Explorer 10. You can if you want to, but Windows 8 will be built from the ground up as a touch-based operating system for tablets, because Microsoft speculate that there will be more tablet users than desktop users by the time that Windows 8 has flourished to its maximum user base, which in that case, it tells us that Microsoft-based tablets won't use Flash. There is a mode that you can switch it to what's called desktop mode. So Internet Explorer 10 desktop mode can support Flash, and you can install other applications. So people saying, oh no, the next version of Windows won't be able to run Flash. Yes, it will. But for the majority of users, the default layout will be in Windows mode. If I get time, or if you come and see me afterwards, I have it installed here. You'll probably be the very first people to see Windows 8 released. I've managed to get the developer preview on here, and I've got IE 10, so you can have a look at it. It's quite sexy. Okay, so, yeah, geeks talking. Right. Okay, so where were we? Yeah, so we're having a look at that. So, yeah, so this, as you can see, this is all CSS3 that was produced using Edge. And if we go back over here, and this is the JavaScript, which again you don't have to write any bit of code with it. All the JavaScript needed. Okay, and there's the HTML. So that's the HTML. Again, it's using jQuery. Okay. Again, from tests, it doesn't really work in older browsers. They're still working on it until it's fully released. The idea is that these animations will work in older browsers as well as modern browsers. That's IE 6, 7, and 8. So so here's, for example, an animation. So you've got different aspects. If I select on each of these, so if you have a look at that, where is it? Wheel. So again, that's the wheel one there. And you can actually see there's the translation X and Y and rotate. And if I scrub along, you'll notice the rotation changes. What you do is a bit like how After Effects and Flash in some respect work. You set your beginning and you set your end, and it does the rest for you, okay, which is called the tween. So it starts off from a rotation of 0, and I'm assuming when it goes to the end, it finishes at rotation 360. Yes, it does. So when it gets to the end, it goes back to 0 again. And you just put the bits and pieces in there and you build it from there. I'm just going to open up another example. So if I go back up here and open up this one, this is a great example. I love this one. A lot of work has gone into this. So as you can see, if I play that one, okay. And if we look at each bit separately, so if I basically take this one, move it up a bit, so each layer is named accordingly, and you basically bring in the images. These are just images, PNG files. Okay, they could be SVG, so if you're building in HTML5, you can use scalable vector graphics, so that's that one there. And if we look at it, and we can see there it is logo. So if I open up logo, again, I can see what logo is made up of. I can see the only thing that causes this movement is a Y translation, which is up and down. And its beginning position is here, and its end position is here. Okay, so as you can see, it goes up and down to that end. You'll notice that it uses a little bounce. See that bounce there? Okay, and that bounce is basically, it's been added an ease. These are pre-built eases, an ease out bounce. So when it hits the floor, it bounces up a little bit and then comes back down again. So again, it gives you that simulation of technique. So basically, you just build your bits, put your beginning and end, click on it, and then add an ease to it. And if I had, a bit more time, if I had to build something like this, it'd probably take 2-3 hours, if not probably less, but with explanation, probably 3 hours. But you can easily build. I can show you how to build this whole aspect using Edge. Okay, or as I said, you can download it, play around with it. It is very, very easy to use. Again, who's here used Flash? Okay, again, those who use Flash, used After Effects. It's basically pick up and go. You can download it, use it, and get to use it, and create some amazing products from it straight away. Okay, just speaking to who was at Rupert's seminar earlier? Rupert Knowles. He was one of the Adobe guys. I was just speaking to Rupert about Edge, and they're already working on Preview 3. And Preview 3, a bit of sneak information here, will have interactivity. So basically, when you click on something, something jumps. When you click on something, the page loads up. So you can do some amazing stuff with it. If I just open up, there is an example I want to show you, which does look amazing if I can find it. I think it's this one. Yeah, so as you can see, you can use that, but that wasn't the example I wanted to show you. There is another one where you can actually load up pre-built websites into Edge, and if you built websites, you'll notice that they use div tags, so everything's inside boxes, and these boxes you can then animate. There is an example, I can't remember where it is, but it's probably on here somewhere. I can't find the example, but they had an example of a website you can see on one of their YouTube videos where things appear, and then as you click on them, they load them up. So you can actually mix and match things that you've already built. You can then animate them, or you can add animations to them using Edge, which is great. Okay, I don't want to spend too much time on Edge, so I'll move on to the next object, which is Muse. So with Muse, I'm just going to go and show you Muse itself. Muse, not Muse the band, Muse the application. Now with Muse, they've done it slightly differently. With Muse, the concept is design and publish HTML websites without writing code. Actually, you can't see the code, even if you wanted to. Okay? The only time you will see the code is when you've finished. You can then open up the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript files, but not like Dreamweaver where there's a code view. There is no code view in Muse. You basically just design as you would in InDesign, click a button, and it's done. Again, it's quite fascinating because they've taken, it looks like they've worked with the InDesign team to put the interface into it to give you the effect that you want. So let me just show you some examples. These are designers. So when they released Muse, they said, here you go, designer, do something with it. So they gave it out, and this is real websites that have been produced using Muse. So here's an example. I'll show you two or three. So as you can see, when I move my mouse over, I can get these rollover effects. So here's the About button, takes me to a website. You know, it's nothing big and fancy, but you can basically create what are called brochure websites, okay? Which the majority of startup companies or freelancers or portfolio-based websites are, you know, basically brochure websites. Brochure website is basically the information you would normally have on a brochure. Is you want to put it on a website. And to be honest with you, especially from what I teach, in most cases, people that come and do the Dreamweaver course that I teach at Academy class, in most cases, all they want to do is build a website. What kind of website? Ask them, oh, I've just started up my new company, sells, I don't know, shoes, and I just want to put it on the web. And sometimes Dreamweaver is a bit overkill for it because, you know, I just want a simple tool to be able to do that. And again, Muse gives you that ability. Which is great. So let's have a look at another example. Showcase. Here's another example. Lucid Energy. Again, nicely designed. You build your designs in Photoshop, take the graphics, and then as you can see, when I click on it, it loads up different aspects of my site. Okay. But if you want anything more complex than that, no, Muse doesn't do that. It's not a magic tool, but it will allow you to create brochure-based websites quite easily. Okay. So if you're looking to design something like that, Muse will give it for you. Okay, so enough of showing you what it does. Should we have a go at creating something? Okay, so let's load up Muse. I don't know what its official name will be. It might not even come out as a separate product. It might even be incorporated into InDesign or incorporated into Dreamweaver. We're not quite sure where it will head, but it is stirring up a lot of interest. It basically, what it does is, I'll show you when we use fonts. It's categorized fonts into different order. So it has what are called web-safe fonts, and then below that it has your own custom fonts. If you use any custom fonts, it renders them as images, and then in the HTML it still puts the text in HTML and as alt text, so it's still rendered as SEO. That's not really, from a web developer's point of view, that's not really the preferred way to do it. If you want to use custom fonts, you would use CSS3. It doesn't do that as of yet, but you know, you could always use it as a prototype tool, go back and modify it afterwards with CSS3, which is not a problem. So here we are with Muse. Again, they have loads of tutorials and websites on Muse on the site. So I'm going to create a new site. Okay, and when you create a new site, you get something like InDesign. It basically asks you to put some aspects in there of what page width and height you want, and it's got some presets. Now with the page width, It's using 960, which is the standard. If you visit most websites, you'll notice it's centered and set in the middle, and you will notice if you actually measure it, it's 960 pixels wide. Now, why 960? It's because the lowest common denominator for what your screen size is 1024 pixels wide. Take into account the browser and the scroll bar and bits and pieces, you're left with about 960 pixels. With the height, you can change this. So basically, let's change the height to 800. So again, I can increase it over here or just type in 800. Okay, center horizontally, so basically sits in the middle no matter how much you resize the browser. And then what we can do is set the columns to 3. Okay, so you look at how you want your website. Do you want 2 columns, 1 column, or 3 columns? So I'm going to say 3 columns. You decide what your column width will be. So I'm going to say, well, my column width is going to be 270. Okay, so again, you can do what's called a wireframe. Or if you've built your design in Photoshop before, you would know what these dimensions are. All you have to do is tap the numbers in, and this will give you the effect that you're looking for. Set your gutter, leave the gutter at 20, that's fine. And then for the margin, I'm going to change all of these. So I'm going to tick this box here and type in 50, and click Tab, and as you can see, it changes all of them 50. Okay, that's the edges on the outside. And then the padding, which is the edge between the text and the edge of the box, you decide what you want your edge to be. So let's keep it at 36 and click OK. Once you've done that, it's created it for you. Who's here used Lightroom? Okay, Adobe Lightroom, which is it's a photographer's tool for touching up photos. But basically, it follows the workflow process of Lightroom. Where basically, Lightroom, for those who use it, you have like develop, and then I can't remember what it's 3 or 4 bits. I think import, develop, preview, and then publish, and that library, and then publish, print. So again, it's got that. So you plan your website first, you then design it, then you preview it, then you publish. So it follows that Lightroom aspect, which is great. Okay, so this is the website here. So I'm gonna save it first of all. So save site as. It saves it with an extension .muse, but when you export it, you can export it as a HTML, CSS, and JavaScript file. And basically, I'll call this one coffee me. Okay, and let's save that one on the desktop inside the folder called Designers Fiesta, inside Muse, and in there. Keep it in there. Okay, so there it is. Now I'm just going to open up a finished example of what I'm trying to achieve so you can actually see it. So I'm going to open up a site. Okay, and inside the site what we're going to do is open up Muse, and if we look inside coffee, this one here, where is it? Kevin's Coffee Cart Muse. So I select, this is the finish, this is what I'm going to try and achieve by the end of this session. Okay, so you lay it out as you can see here. Yeah, there you go. So it loads all the data in, and you build it, so you build your navigation system and all the bits and pieces to it. And if you want to edit, you build your masters like you would in InDesign, and then your pages will be based on that InDesign. So again, if you double click on it, this will take you into design mode. Okay, and so you can basically build the designs from there. Again, all the panels are available on the right hand side, and then you can click on preview, and this renders it like a browser in itself. Okay, and as you can see, the menu. Okay, you can have animations, and you can have tips and so on, and a slideshow animation, and then all you have to do is click on publish at the end, and that will publish it onto the web for you. So it's quite easy from that perspective. But let's go back to plan. I'm going to close, actually let's go back to that, close this one, so we can actually start working with that. So there's my master. So the first thing is that I'm going to do is let's explore the workspace first of all. So let's look at it in, so if I double click, I'm editing the master. As you can see, I've got 2 sections here. The first one is the top of the page, and this one is basically anything above that is the header. And if I scroll down, maximize. Okay. And if I scroll down, as you can see here, it tells you what they are, and you put your mouse on the bottom of the browser, and here is basically bottom of the page, and between here and here is your footer. Okay, so as the content increases, the bit at the bottom stays as is. And you've got these panels, you've got swatch, fill, text, assets, character styles, paragraph styles, you've got transform, graphic styles, widgets libraries, and here are the bits and pieces that allows you to add jQuery and Ajax. If you want to build a menu, you can easily do that from here, and spacing states, which are states of buttons, and you've got text wrap as well. And then you've got these different aspects here at the top, and again you've got additional panels that are available at the top as well. Okay, so let's start building the first bit that we need to do. So the first thing is that we're going to do is set up the guides. So I'm going to move back up over here, okay, and let's set up header guide to about 40. So this is the header guide, so I'm going to move that one, and as you can see, give me a little preview to 40, and let's drag the footer to 600. So we're going to move that down, and that's the footer, so let's move that one to 600. Okay, and let's basically drag the bottom of the page to 700. Move that down a bit. Okay, and the browser guide should be at 800. Down. Okay, so that's setting the parameters ready for us. Once we've done that, we can then go back into plan mode and work with that, and all the pages that you've set up or used from there onwards will create. So the next thing is what we need to do is work out a sitemap, how many pages that we can have within our website. So what I can do is from here I can actually add all pages within that level, and then I can actually give these names. So I'm going to rename that one. To rename it, I can call it home with capitals, okay, and then give this one another name. So I'm going to double click that one and call the coffee, okay, and then come over here and change the name of that one and call that one cart map. Okay, and again, if I want to add another page that is a sub-menu of that first page, again, I can organize it from there. So you can actually build your whole sitemap using that technique. Again, you can use many masters. As you can see, all of these use a master. So if I do any changes to here, all of these pages will change accordingly. So we're going to call this one origins. So origins. Okay, and just to show you how easy it is to move and change pages. So if I've added another page by mistake, I can easily delete it, and I can rejig them, so I can reposition them. And as you can see, I can reposition them according to here, or I can put that one there, or I can basically move that one back there. So reorganizing and changing your designs is very, very simple. If you try to do this in Dreamweaver, it's not easy at all. Okay, there is no design view for allowing you to build a sitemap. Actually, they did have one that built one for you, but you couldn't like add and move bits to it like you can here. It just showed you your sitemap, but they removed it. Don't know why, but I think they decided to put it into Muse instead. Okay, so once you've decided, you can make it as complex or as big as you want, but I'll stick to 4 pages for the time being. Okay, so the other thing that you can do is if you select any page and you right click, you can go to page properties. Now when you go to page properties, okay, you can actually change that for each specific page, so it's customized. So it doesn't have to follow the rest of it. But again, you can go to the metadata. What the metadata is you can add a description keyword for SEO, search engine optimization, the page name and a page title. You can change it if you want to, and it will also create the file names for you. It'll follow the convention of keeping everything lowercase. And so, for example, this one, which uses spaces, you're not supposed to use spaces, and unless you know that, if you do it in Dreamweaver, it might break your website. As you can see, it puts dashes in there for you automatically. So it does everything for you, which is, again, quite useful. Right, so let's work with the master page. So let's go in here and let's start to edit. So in this one, we're going to go and choose fill. Okay, and as you can see, it's a white background. So what I'm going to do is going to change this. And let's basically choose an image. So I'm going to choose an image, and there's a pre-built image that I've got, which is called the K. Oh, sorry, BK. Okay, so I'm going to select that one, click on open, and as you can see, adds an image to the background quite easily. Now I can center that one just by clicking on there, and it's created the image for me. So again, if I close that and click on preview, I can see that's the backdrop image of the design. If I go back to plan, and as you can see, it's put the image there in all of them, which is again quite useful. Now if we go back into our master, okay, and I'm going to go back to fill, and you can change the fitting to any kind of, so we'll keep it on original size, because the dimension would have been predefined in, what do you call it, Photoshop. Okay, so the next thing is what we're going to do is we're going to change the color, and what you can do is add instead of an image, what I'm trying to do is create a white box at the top. This one is done. I'll open up one of my other examples. Okay, so I need to create that aspect there. So that was fill. Okay, that hasn't got the image, but where was the image done? Okay, I see what I did wrong. Okay, let's go back to that one. Let's go back here. What I should have done is browser fill rather than fill. Okay, so if I go to browser fill, let's choose the image, BK image. Okay, and select that one, and let's center that one. Okay, and say original size, and we'll say scrolling. So when you scroll, it scrolls with it. And then for the fill, what I'm going to do is instead of using an image, I'm going to use a color. And let's change the image. Let's remove the image from here. So let's bin that one. And as you can see, that's created the white. And again, it uses CSS3, so I can actually use an opacity of 80%, so I can actually see the image through that. Okay, so let's set that and keep that there, and let's center it and move that out of the way. And if I go back and look at preview, essentially I've built that page looking like so, which is again quite useful. Again, if you wanted to do anything like this using Dreamweaver, again it would be quite difficult unless you actually worked and know how to code CSS3. Okay, we can actually then go back to design view, and as you can see, it's got a stroke. I can remove the stroke or increase the stroke of the object page that I've got. But let's remove the stroke from here and choose no color, and go back and look at preview, and as you can see, it's designed that design from there. Right, so the next thing is let's add some headers and footers. So let's go back into plan, and as you can see, updates everything. If I go back into the master, I'm going to basically place an image. I can go to File, Place, like I do with InDesign, and from here, I'm going to choose a file called TopNav. Okay, so there it is, TopNav. And if I click once, there it is, and I can actually then position it where I want. Okay, and again, we can move that out of the way so we can actually see what we're building. Okay, and center it Again, it's got these guys that tells me that the object is centered where I want it to be. Okay, and if we again go back and have a look at it, we will notice that it replicates on every single page directly, okay, which again is quite useful. The next thing is what we're going to do is let's add a footer. So I'm going to come down here. I'm going to draw something now here. I'm going to use the rectangle tool, and let's draw something to the full width of the browser. So that's that there. Okay, and again, it's using the smart guides. If I select it, we can then modify it. So we're going to use, so I'm going to fill it with a different aspect. So instead of using a color, I'm going to say fill, and then choose image, and then we're going to use something called footer zag. Okay, again, this is an image. There it is, footer zag.png. It's just one triangle, and select OK, and as you can see, it's appeared there. Instead of original size, I'll say tile horizontally. Okay, and then the color, what we're going to do is say no color. Okay, so basically we can actually see into the transparent aspects. Okay, and we can center that from there. Okay, so that's that. And then what we can do is create another rectangle. So I select that here, and that will go all the way across. And let's use this, align it up with that. Okay, and then the color, I'm going to use the eyedropper and then pick that color there. So as you can see, creates the footer aspect of the design. I go back to plan, okay, and as you can see, it's rendered the footer. So I've built the header and the footer directly using that. Okay, if I go back, that's ready for me to carry on. As you can see, this one's got an outline, so I'm going to remove that one. So say no outline and change that to 0. And that one as well, no outline, and set it to 0. Okay, so it blends in seamlessly. Okay, go back to preview to see what it would look like, and as you can see, you've built two parts of the design and the paging. So go back to design, and what you'd need to do is make sure that the footer and the header work as items for the footer and header. That means as items get added to it, you can actually see this is not a footer item. And if we come down over here and I select this item, as you can see, it tells me it's a footer item, and I select this one as a footer item. It's very important footer items behave as footer items, because when you start to add content in here, you want these objects to move down with it, because obviously some pages will be longer than others. Because pages are unlike printed material, you can actually scroll down forever on HTML pages. So the footer needs to always be at the bottom of the page. Okay, so the next thing is what we need to do is add a menu. Creating a menu in HTML and CSS it's not an easy thing. So basically here it's very, very easy. So we're going to carry on from here, and if I expand this back up again, bring this one out here, I'm going to use a widgets library, and if I go to menus, I'm going to pick which menu I want, a horizontal one. Drag and drop. Right, there it is. It's done the menu for me. Right, it's basically figured out from my plan what menu I should have. I didn't have to type anything. Right, I put that in there. Right, and I can center it, and I'm just going to preview. Right, and as I preview, there it is, home, the coffee, and cart map, which is amazing. Right, what we can do is then click on this, and I can say horizontal, top level pages, and let's say all pages. Right, so I change all pages, now has origins. I then click on preview, right, home, a little drop down menu, and there's origins, and there's cart map. So it's built the menu for me without me needing to do a word of code, which is, again, absolutely amazing. So I go back to design view. You can then customize it from there if you want to. Anything that you want to customize, you just look for that little blue bar, and it tells you what you want to customize it for. So the next thing is that we're going to do is we're going to resize it. Let's say direction, fit, width. That's it. Let's do that. And I'm going to, it's got these panels here which you can try and resize it. Okay, maybe if we come over here and change this to item uniform width. There you go. So I can then resize it and align it to the edges of the column. Whoops. Undo, select that. And as you can see, when I do that, it automatically resizes accordingly. So again, I go back to preview. As you can see, home, the coffee, origins, and then cart map. Okay, so if I go back to design, and then what we're going to do is let's go back in here. We've got that submenus only, horizontally centered, aligned. Yep, so we'll keep that. Now the other thing that we're going to do is we might want to change the the text. So if we go back here, and if I pick this and go to text, I'm going to change the color of the text to white. As you can see, it changes all of them, and then I can actually increase the size of the font, and it changes all of them simultaneously. What I can also do is adjust the spacing between the words and the battings and the padding and the gutters. To do that, you just go to spacing, and as you can see, if I do left, and I can tweak it how I want from there, or if I wanted to increase the guttering, if I need to, from here as well. So it just gives you the customizing from there. I can select each item. As you can see, when I roll over, I get that color. If I don't want it, I can actually change that and say no color. Okay, and the mouse down, maybe I don't want a color with that because it looks quite ugly. Change it to that. And the active, again, the active state is when it's clicked and held and pressed down. Okay, so again, if I go back to preview, okay, I've kept the menu quite simple. So only when I put my mouse over, as you can see, I can get that effect. But what I could do is if I go back to design, I might want to say when I roll over, it goes bold. Let's test that to see if it works. As you can see, when I roll over, it goes bold. Okay, and then I might want to say for all of them. Okay, so as you can see, that one, and roll over, and let's make that one bold as well, and that one roll over bold as well. So if I go into preview, it gives the user an indication that you've rolled over it, okay, which again is a very useful tool. Okay, so if I go back to design view, I can then work on it from there. Now, what I'm going to also do is if you say, for example, for the active state, I'm going to change something slightly. So with that, I'm going to say, for example, the fill will basically be an image, and the image will be can't remember the name of the image. Actually, if I do this, I'll see what it looks like, because I know what it looks like. That one. Okay, so if I select OK, and then I can actually center that like so. Okay, so if I preview that, as you can see when I put my mouse over it, but if I click on it, as you can see, it then it says that I'm on the page home, okay, which is very, very clever. Okay, because obviously if I then click on coffee, I'm at the word coffee. If I click on that, I'm at the word partner. Very clever. Okay, so if I go back to design view, we can then carry on from there. Okay, so let's add some content. So with that, I'm going to show you how to add content to the individual pages. So let's go back to plan. So this is basically designed it for all of them. So let's go to the coffee page. Okay, I want to add some content to that. So with the coffee page that I'm in, I'm going to go to my widgets library, and if I choose panels, accordion, and drag that one and drop it, again, this has built an accordion system for me. Again, I can line it up Let me just see what an accordion does. So as you can see, there's 1. If I click on 2 and 1, so I can add content within that if I need to. Go back to design view and then carry on and work with that. So let's basically create a 3 panel. So I've got 3 objects, and again, if I go to preview just to test it, I can go 1, 2, and 3. Okay, go back to design view, and I can carry on from here. So basically, let's position this in this position here, and let's resize it so it's about 2 columns wide, and let's replace this text to 3 speed blend. Okay, and then we need to add some text in that, so I'm going to basically use the text tool, okay, and then draw a text box inside of this box, okay, and then I can actually type in, for example, tasting note. Okay, now if I've already got some copy, I can actually go File, Place, okay, and it will accept TXT files. So the one we're looking for is called text3. There it is. Select and place that there, and then you can actually position it where you want, and as you can see, it resizes it accordingly. And again, we can push that to make a bit more room. There you go. So if we go back and click on preview, you can see there's 1, 2, and 3, and then you basically go back and format it and change the look of it. So if we go back to design, let's format it, because the end objective, what I'm trying to achieve, is something like this. If we have a look, okay, this is what we're trying to achieve. So if I go back and click on preview, okay, to get the effect, the design that we're looking for. So let's go back to design, go back here, work on that one, and change it slightly. Okay, so once we've got that, let's change the text of 3, that text from here. So I'm going to select that, and let's change the font. Now with fonts, again, as somebody in the back mentioned, how does it work with fonts? It's listed there for you what are called web safe fonts. You're safe to use these, and the text will be rendered as is when it's viewed in the browser, and the text is selectable. But you know, if from a designer's perspective, you have the freedom choice to choose any font that you want. You can do so from here, but it does warn you that, again, there are system fonts. It will export it as an image to maintain the same look that you want. So if there is a specific image that you want it to look like, you need to find that font from here. Okay, so the font that we're going to use is, if we open that up, and if we look inside Designers Fiesta, and if we look inside Muse, and look inside here, fonts, we can install these fonts, and as you can see, as they're custom fonts, I'm just installing them, and hopefully they should appear automatically inside Muse. If I go back into Muse and look at that list, and I was hoping it uses the new Adobe engine, where as you install the fonts it will appear automatically, but it doesn't. But that's fine. I'm just going to save that site, and if I quit Muse and go back into it, you'll notice that the fonts don't save that one. Don't save that one. If I go back into Muse, we will find those fonts. And let's open up that one. That's the one we were working with. Go back into here, select text, and again, if you look at that list, again, we should see a list of custom fonts that we just installed. Okay, so there it is. So let's pick that one. Okay, and as you can see, I get that little image there telling me that this font will be output as an image as opposed to a font as such. The size will be 34, so again, let's increase it, 36, and let's reduce that from there, 5 minutes, okay. And then let's change the color to white, and we can also increase the leading to 120. And as you can see, when I do that, it hasn't changed the other two, but what you can do is tick this little box here and say edit together, and as you can see, it automatically changes the other two as well. Okay, you notice it hasn't changed them. If we go back to preview, okay, it's changed them in only when you select them, but that's easily to do. It's just something that you need to do in states and make sure that it's the same for all of them. And then if you want to change the background, you select. So if we go back in here, use the selection tool. I'm running out of time. So if we've got the widget and then you select, as you can see here, it tells me text frame. That's the color there. We can actually change it instead of a color to an image. So if I choose image, and then it's something that you built in Photoshop, you can actually use that one, blue. Okay, and then select the color and set it to none. And as you can see, the text then needs pushing forward, so let's make the text bold. And then if you basically come to spacing, you can then adjust to the left and put it into place. And then select that one and change that one to transparent, and so on. So you get the idea of what it is, and then you build the next bit. So it's very, very effectively. There's one last thing that I really want to show you, which kind of amazed me. This is a map here. You know, like Google Maps, you want to add a map. So how do you add a map? Well, you go to Google, and you go to maps.google.com. I type in Academy class. London, there it is. Okay, so where are we? Let's get lost in London. Right. There it is. Okay, so it's that one. There it is. Okay, so I like that. So basically, if I click here, yeah, keep it open, click on that link there, and then if I say customize and preview, I can say width is 600. Custom 600, and let's change the height to 400. Okay, and then bring that out like so. And this is the magic bit, right? So I select that, copy. That's code. I don't understand it. Okay, right? I paste, and guess what? You've got the map. And if I click on preview, the map works with Academy class written, right? And you can zoom out, zoom in, and wow, where's the code? I didn't have to do a bit of code. It does everything. This is the same whether it's a YouTube video, whether it's anything. And you'll notice loads of websites provide services like Google Maps. They say embed or click on this and gives you a bundle of code. And you go, I don't know what to do with this code. Just paste it. Edge will do the rest. That's it. Any web-based application that gives you the ability to embed. Yep, it will understand it. Contact forms, let's have a look. If it would be, it'll be inside your widgets. Something I haven't explored. Let's have a look. Menus, thumbnails, slideshows. It does have this, not forms, but I just want to show you very, very quickly. If you come over here, if you want a slideshow, I can't see forms. Maybe in the next release they will add forms. But here's a slideshow. Right? To create this in anything is very, very difficult. But if we look at this, you've seen these before? And you can easily add your own images, because if I do this, right, for example, and I change it from Lightbox, and I want to add some images, I just go File, Place, right, and then if I go to Slideshows, I pick which images I want, click Select, and wait, and click, and it adds the images for me automatically. If I click on Preview, as you can see, this is a bit big, so I can actually do that. Move that one down here. Move that one up there. Select that, and delete the ones that I don't want. And then resize this. And resize that. There you go, that's the one I wanted. And resize it again. And if I go to preview, didn't touch a word of code. That's amazing. Yeah. And it produces the HTML and CSS for you. Right, I've run out of time. But any last questions you got? It doesn't do WordPress. Doesn't do WordPress. If you want to do WordPress, use WordPress. But if you want to create a static HTML, CSS brochure site, that's what it's good for. Yeah. Yeah. That slideshow is jQuery, which is a form of JavaScript. It's not perfect, but you can use it as a prototype, or you can use it as something to start off with. But if you're not looking for anything more than that, it's good enough. But if you're looking for anything beyond that, it's not the best website. But for something that you can create with talking, without talking, I could do this in 15 minutes.